Hey folks, it's Nick again, and guess what time it is? Cooking with Jan. And it's definitely not gonna be sickeningly protein laden like epic meal time, but it's going to be delicious. Not that I hate epic meal time, it's just that bacon, ham, and a whole bunch of other things thrown together, that's way too much meat. As much as I love meat. Now, you're going to need the following ingredients. You're going to need eggs. I'm using 4. I may actually add 6 because 4 eggs is not enough sometimes. 1 medium to large size Valencia onion, sweet onion. 1 habanero pepper, size to be determined by how badly you want to actually sear your palate. 1, not entirely, pardon me, package of sausages. I'm going to be probably using 3 of the sausages in total because I'll want to take the casings off and use the meat inside. 1, I'm using a Macintosh apple, but you can use an apple of your choice, and you'll be coring it, seeding it, and cutting it into cubes. I'll show you as we go along. But you'll need these, you'll need 2 pans, and the only reason why is because in 1 pan you'll be taking the onion and apple and possibly an extra bits of spice and putting them together. But they're all going to meet in a cast iron pan, not cast iron, something deep that you can put in the oven. And right now I'm preheating the oven to 350 degrees. Where after you cook your meat, you throw in the rest of the ingredients, and you then make sure that you have your egg mixture ready. You pour it on top, you take it off the fire, you throw it into the oven automatically. But you'll see that as we go along. So get your gear together. I'm sorry for you vegetarians if you don't eat eggs. This one you won't be able to enjoy. But if you are a vegetarian, this is probably a good dish that you can try. Just take away the meat and add whatever you want as vegetables. Warning though, try to saute your vegetables in advance so that as much water comes out, because water staying in eggs doesn't bind well. You'll end up with not runny eggs, but something that destroys itself as you're trying to eat it. So, by experience. It's delicious, but still. So get your act together, folks. Get your cooking implements. Oh, and I'm going to be using a can of potatoes. Can of these babies. Sliced potatoes, generic brand. And I'm draining them because I want them as dry as possible so that they cook well when I put them in the skillet. So anyways, let's get to cooking. Get ready, we're going to prep the ingredients. Okay, there, when I was actually starting to talk about what you needed to do, the battery died. And I only noticed after I had finished chopping the habanero pepper. So, cut your onion like this. You take out the, well, I always do it faster. It's a little bit wasteful, but it gets it done faster. Chop off the 2 ends. Take out the outer layer by taking a knife and slitting gently across the surface. Squeeze it, separate it, cut it in half, and then cut it into quarters. And then once you've cut both halves in quarters, you can then cut them again in quarters so that you end up with these nicely sized elements. Your habanero pepper, make sure the seeds are removed, the top is removed. Do not touch any naughty bits while you're doing this. Do not bring your fingertips to your eyes. Do not do anything to your face unless you want to feel like you've got a hot iron brand somewhere. It hurts. Trust me. Trust me. And your apple. This is a Macintosh apple. Why Macintosh? It's the first apple I got, so I decided what the hell, I'll just use it as is. This one I'll need a small plate to actually do because I've run out of room. Doesn't matter if you contaminate it with that particular pepper. I should have been doing this, folks. If you have any kids, don't let them play with the knives alone. Heck, sometimes even adults can't even play with knives. Look, Jimmy, this is how we do it. Slit. Ah! Medic! And now that they're cored, there is one thing I forgot to do, which is to take the skin off. But the fun thing about it is that on the way that they're cut right now, I just need to follow the elliptical. The reason why you want the skin off is only because it'll cook better. Skins are up to a certain degree nutritious, but they're not always wanted in cooking. Oh, and rule number 1 of anything, when you actually step into the kitchen, please make sure you clean your hands. Because as much as you say, well, I haven't dirtied them, well, you don't know where you put your hands, and trust me, if you've handled any knobs, any desks, any doors, anywhere where more than one person goes, you can bet your patukas that there's germs. And the last thing you want is a Norwalk type virus, which aka is called the stomach flu, where you're yarfing pretty much all your meal. It's fun riding the porcelain bus, but just not during a weekday. We feel as weak as a kitten. Mew. And for the apple, you'll want to do the same thing that I did for the onion, which is basically cut it tight. Cut it into quarters. And then quarters again. You can cut them smaller if you want. Your pepper you'll want smaller, trust me. Okay. Now I've got this, I'm going to add something that, this is an experiment, so I don't know how well it's going to taste. We'll soon find out. The sausages are honey garlic. Doesn't have to be honey garlic. You can use apple sausages, cranberry sausages, any sausages that you can get your hand on, as long as they're thick, like this. Thick sausages give you more meat from the casing and allow you to do more with little. I'm going to take ground cinnamon and I'm going to gently powder my apples. Don't have to do it now. You can do it while they're cooking. But I like it ready so I don't have to forget. That's just to give it some flavor, some cinnamon flavor thrown into the mix. Okay, now that I've got this, the last step I've got is slicing my sausages. And I hate slicing sausages because they don't always work well. The casing is always resistant to the effort. Casing, by the way, is a cellulose casing, folks, used in food preparation. I feel like Dexter for some odd reason. No, don't kill me! Ah! Don't have the murder gloves. Okay. And you remove the casing as best as possible. Trust me, you'll have resistance up to a certain degree. And if you don't do a clean cut like this, it'll actually be resistant. That's one down. Now, you can pre-cook the sausages up to a certain degree if you want in their casings, but you'll end up having to use the casings in your cooking, which only adds more bite to your sausage, but it also adds another obstacle that you'd rather not conflicting with the other food ingredients that you're going to be putting in. So that's why I prefer to remove the casing and actually use it as is. A free-flowing sausage that you'll then now do the following. You can separate them or you can put them together. It's really up to you. Either way, you're going to have to disassemble the meat again. You're going to have to tear them into bite-sized morsels. To hell with this knife. I'm just gonna do it with my hands. It'll go faster. It's messier, but it'll go faster. More satisfying. Now you'll want to pre-cook these sausages, of course, before doing the recipe, which is why we're preparing this meat right now. And they'll have to be properly cooked, not pink, not bloody, not missed. They'll have to be properly cooked, well done, up to a certain degree, because they're still going to cook for at least a good 10 minutes in the oven with heat. But that's mostly to set the egg mixture. Doesn't have to be in any specific order, as long as they're not stuck together, because you will need to cook them. And having a big chunk, well, as much as it's interesting for meat eaters like me, it's not always what we want. Okay, now that we've got the main ingredients ready, the next biggest of already the eggs. The eggs are quick enough to do. You can salt them, you can add spices, you can add herbs, you can add a whole bunch of different things inside. It really depends on what you prefer. And to each his own. Now, I'm bringing it closer. Sorry, you guys. Put this remaining sausage now in the fridge, and I'll put it in the foam. Did I just say foam? Yeah, I did say foam. Okay. Now, the eggs I'm using are just regular white eggs. And you want to avoid getting shell into your mixture. Unless you're fond of having shell crunchiness in your food. I'm not fond of it, trust me. And that's why I learned to do eggs my way, because my parents, not all the time, but they tended to sometimes put shell bits in it, and you're having fun, it's like num num. And it's like anything, you find a bone in your fish, you find the chicken bone that's not supposed to be there, that was ground up in the meat that you're currently eating, piece of bone for your hamburger, or your from something that's not supposed to have it, from your ground pork. When you bite into it, your appetite suddenly goes away. Suddenly goes away. Inexplicably goes away. I guess it might be a mechanism due to that fact, folks. Okay, now with that, I'm going to throw in some meat. The heavier the better, 2%, 3%. But I only got 1%, so 1% will do. It'll just be a little bit. Just to give it a splash of milk. Just gives it an extra taste. Besides with lactose intolerant milk, for people that are like me, where they can't really drink milk because they can't digest it. Well, we do what we can when we can. I'm going to put in some turmeric, this time in the eggs, just to give it some different color. And I'll need salt also in the eggs. You'll be using, like usual for me, it's sea salt. Eggs are ready. The only thing I need to worry about now is making sure this is stable and doesn't go flying. And you'll need oil. You can use the oil of your choice. My choice is always olive oil. Can't get away from not using it. You'll want to heat up your pans because you'll be using both of them at the same time. You'll also be using salt in both of them. No, sorry, you won't be using salt in both. You'll be using salt in one of them, which is going to be for the onions, the hot pepper, and the apples. These little guys, because they contain already salt, you won't really worry about it. So up you go, and we move you to the side. You get a good vantage point of the cooking. At any point you can fast forward if you want, but you'll miss the interesting rhetoric that's said. Besides, it's not going to last more than 14 minutes, that's all I've got on the video card. You'll want your pans hot enough. Put them at max to start. I'm going to use this one for the apple, the onion, and the hot pepper. And this one is going to be used for the pork. Oh, this one's perfect. I stand corrected, it's not yet ready. Oh, it's starting. To take this off the heat because I'm not putting this fast enough and I'll end up having a fire of sorts. As you can see, because I'm doing this quick, I'm rushing it and I'm trying to do the bits separately, but if you rush it you end up with the bits lumping together, and when that happens you're gonna have fun trying to make sure that they're separate from each other, but so be it. Still gonna taste the same anyway. Bring this baby in. want to do the onions first before you put the apple. The apple is a softer flesh and it cooks faster up to a certain degree. And you'll need a spatula. Also. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn on the fan because the vapors drawn up by the hot pepper is hurtful. I'm going to throw in my potatoes so they can grab some flavor. Depending on how crispy you want your potatoes. You can do this before, during, or after. Actually, preferably before or during, but not after. A little bit of ginger. And as soon as these babies start to get translucent, burn the apple. As you all know, apples grow in lots of varieties, but that's only because of breeding the apples to actually have it come out the way you want them to be. Hybriding is what they call it, where you mix more than one apple species together. Which I wonder if there's any apple species that don't get pollinated by bees. A lot of them do. In fact, a lot of specific fruits have only certain types of animals, insects that will pollinate them. Okay. Just to start it off, you can have them more than that, but the rest of the time is going to be spelt in the oven. You want to mix it without making too much of a mess like I am. Here we go. Only due to the fact that if you don't, you'll end up with all the nice stuff in the bottom and everything else is at the top. Now here comes the fun part. Now that this is somewhat mixed, No, that's not enough. Shit. I'm actually going to take it off the stove, because if I don't, I'm going to end up burning my egg. But I'll need to make amends by adding in at least 3 extra eggs. Oh, for God's sakes. I'm having fun and terrible trouble with my camera today. It doesn't record all the time. Okay, well, I put the mixture in the oven at 350 degrees for 15 minutes. It's now cooking. As you can see, the timer, you probably can't read it from here. I don't know. But, so be it. So right now, I'm just going to go clean up and wait for it to cook, and be back in a few moments to actually see this and test the actual, hopefully, epicness of the meal. The key of cooking this is to make certain that the top portion is, and make sure not to burn your hand, that it's settled. If I go like this, if you don't see the egg mixture moving, that's a good thing. But I have a feeling it's going to be hot as all hell. Spicy. Hopefully the apples are cooked. Can I move this? There we go. It would be nice if I actually pointed you down, really. And here's the finished product, folks. Serves easily 4 people, more or less at this point. And people with bigger appetites. I'm actually going to finish that tonight. But that's just me. And I eat very little when it comes to it. Let's try something. Oh, I don't even have space for egg. That's okay. I got some egg around the sausage. Spicy, just right sweet, delicious. Try it out and see how it actually comes out. Hopefully this particular cooking vlog, with all its failures that I've had, will actually be still usable by you. If you have any questions about the recipe, you can always send me a message or write a comment and I'll be glad to answer. But remember, it's with friends and family that you actually have fun. And cooking is one of the many ways that human beings like to mesh themselves together. With that, have fun. Have a nice one.